brought it.
Yes.
You say you brought it 50?
Yeah.
So
So-
you get
Softball game 5,500.
That much.
Stan made 70.
It ain't the college kids buying
$11.99.
beers.
You're not gonna buy too many.
You're coming in prepared.
Yes.
No.
So, yeah.
Second
And
quarter.
we were the number one.
And they said last week,
selling-
it is
Yeah.
last week.
ready to go?
We were the number one selling stand three football games.
Wow.
Nice.
We're on the 50-yard line.
Oh.
It actually says Cuba City High School on the stand.
That's cool.
So you get that same stand every week now?
You don't even want to give that up.
No.
You almost have to find people to take those.
Yeah.
Nancy sent out a message looking for people for basketball games. Right. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please, and would you do roll, Megan?
Joel.
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
White. Here. Henderman. Here. Pohl.
Here.
Bowden.
Here.
Andrews.
Here.
All present.
Proof of giving public meeting notice, Aaron?
Yep, notices are posted at both schools, sent to Village of Dickeyville and City Hall, and sent to members of the media on Tuesday, September 17th.
Thank you. Item 3 is a consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through H that the board would like pulled for further discussion?
I do have some questions, yes. Just looking through numbers, just know that my intuition is always to compare, and it's just financially driven. So I just have some questions going through some of the things. The CISA services that were paid for quarter 1, is that consistent every quarter?
The
The
CISA bill.
$13,000?
Oh, is that quarterly?
Quarterly.
Yeah, that sounds about like a quarter
So
of our.
As a district, do you feel we truly get $52,000 worth of services provided to us?
So we do go through that every spring with the CISA contract. We go through it with the CISA executive director and review, do we need this, do we not need that? There's some things that we need and some things that we've taken off. And that's come down from recent years, but we did go through all that last spring and we identified that we needed those things.
And some of those services that are on that quarterly bill are tied to IEP.
Okay.
Also, so we have to keep that in mind.
You can't just choose like an à la carte menu from them to choose what services you want them or would like
Oh,
them to
you
provide, or
can.
you can't?
When it's regarded to
Yes,
IEPs though, we can't. And
Right.
and it makes more sense to contract hours for them than to hire a person ourselves.
Okay. There was a transmission for the van number 3 that was quite a bit. I'm just wondering what the lifespan of that van is to see if it was actually worth considering holding off on.
We
Or,
consulted our local expert that sits to your left.
Yep.
And the suggestion was, we think we can get many more miles out of that if we take care of that. So
Okay.
we did do that.
that was all I had.
Any other questions? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the of the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Joel.
Yes.
Barth.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Henderman. Yes. Pohl.
Yes.
Bowden.
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item 4 then is discussion of how we want to get the accurate information out to our residents about our November 5th referendum.
So what we're doing administratively is we're kind of looking at the entire month of October and the first few days in November and trying to identify events or places that we should go and either be available. Tina's going to make, she's got a big printer back there that just says referendum information. So a lot of our home events for middle school and high school, we're going to have 2 administrators. We'll open this up if any board members want to join us anytime, just for like the first hour of the event, or maybe half an hour before and half an hour during the event, where people can come up and ask any questions that they want. But we also want to go out and give some informational presentations. We've traditionally done one here, we've done one in Dickeyville. If there are other places that you guys think, hey, we've contacted other groups before and they've declined us coming to like, no, it doesn't work this month, or that's political. We don't want to bring political people into this meeting or that meeting. But we do want to hear if you guys have suggestions for people's contact to ask. We probably have maybe 10 here already just for our home events. We'll schedule one here. This is the easiest one to schedule because it's in our building. We'll go back to Dickeyville again and do that. But are there other places or are there other things that you guys want us to look into?
What do you have so far in?
Just middle school volleyball, middle school football, high school volleyball, high school football.
Okay. Are we doing anything during the homecoming events? Like, are we doing anything like, are we doing anything during the parade, getting that information? Are we going to be available after, before the game to answer any questions? I'm just trying to think.
We
of
have the
what people-
sign ready by next Friday? We could
Sure.
we could
Sorry,
probably
I'm
have
just
that.
like, was just wondering, because that's just.
I can have it done by tomorrow.
I mean, I'm just thinking of different things that it's gonna draw people in, that's gonna draw people in, right? The parade, the game that night will likely draw people in,
Yeah.
so.
So for that, for the game, were you thinking setting up a little card table in the parking lot next to the concession stand, for
Probably.
instance, with a sign on it that said,
Referendum
if you have
questions.
questions,
I think it'll just be about a 6-foot table, and I think Tina's gonna make about a 6-foot sign, and we'll just tape that over the front of the table. So people, a visible place where people can come and ask.
I just think one of the things I'm most concerned about, and it's not, I worry, everybody goes to Facebook, we've seen Facebook comments if you haven't, I'm sure we've all read them. My biggest concern is that people are saying, they have those information, but they're asking these questions, but they're not coming to the events. And that's one of my biggest probably pet peeves is we have these events, so please just come to the events and we can get the information. So I'm not sure how to channel that. I will not respond on Facebook to people. I just won't do that. But somehow to articulate to people, if you want the info, there's places to come and get the info, and you need to use
Well,
your due diligence to do it.
And we go through this with every referendum. There are people who are gonna vote yes, no matter what.
Yep.
There are people who are gonna vote no, no matter what. And then there are people who are like, I need more information in order to cast my vote.
Mhm.
And those are the people that we wanna have these events for. The no votes, some people are gonna vote no because they have a chance to vote no, or they have some bad feelings about something this way or that way. You want to make sure that the people that want information have access to it. So those are the ones that we have to try to provide information for on our website. We talked about, I believe next week, we're going to try to start populating our website with some of those frequently asked questions and things. So, we'll push out some things, but we can't be persuasive.
No, I don't
We
think.
just have to be factual. And so we're working on some of those documents right now, and we'll try to urge people to go see our website or come to any.
And I think you guys are doing everything, everybody's doing everything they can do. It's just the concern, I guess, get probably more like really people want to throw out information without actually going to
Right.
those sources. It's like, just go to the meetings and get the information and you won't have these questions, but they're just choosing not to do that, right? I mean, so obviously we can't shift that or change that, but the other piece too is just, I know for a fact, if you're talking to someone, they're not going to the website. People who do not kids in the district are probably not going to go to the website. So are there other ways that we can get information out? Because they're just not. I mean, they don't think about it. It's not their first stop shop to get the information. I don't know.
that's always been the challenge. I
Mhm.
think last time I know that Aaron and Don and I went to Sunset, they graciously, said we could go in there. I don't know that more than one person came to talk to us.
Mhm.
For instance, and we've had similar, challenges getting anybody to go.
Yeah.
I mean, when we had the meeting at Dickeyville at the library, I don't know if advertised that would, I might suggest that might be an opportunity. Again, if we could spread the word, whether, even if we got a dozen, I guess, to show up, but that would be a success
Yeah.
compared to sitting there for an hour and having no one come talk to you.
No, I agree. But I'm even just thinking like the information, like how to, obviously I don't know if people read the Tri-County Press anymore. I'm not even sure. I mean, is there a way to put like something that explains what's going on? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they're not going to the website.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about is we've sent out letters and flyers before. Those are expensive.
Mhm.
Each round of those are about 12 to 1,400. And I wonder if, because we don't have a complete address book, we always seem to miss a couple roads. And I think people get angry by that.
Yeah.
Do we do that again?
What is the cause of the, it's always seems to be Dickeyville, Keeler. Now, my understanding is in Dickeyville, if you have a Dickeyville address, it's a PO box, there's no
Correct.
delivery.
Correct.
If you have delivery to your house, it's actually a Cuba City address. Same with Keeler. If you have a Keeler zip code, you pick your mail up at the post office. Are we missing those people in the PO boxes, or are we missing the ones in the rural?
I think we got all the PO boxes last time.
Yeah, as long as you have your PO box on they will not, they keep it small, obviously, but even if they know who you are, if your PO box number is not on there, they are not putting it in your box. They
Right.
used to be, they would, they're not doing that anymore.
They don't
So-
do that.
No,
But this time we had them put the address and the PO box,
Oh, that's-
and then we called the person who was working in the post office,
Postmaster.
the postmaster, and they're like, yep, we know they're coming, and if there's an error, we know where everybody lives, we make sure they get in the PO boxes, so it's,
Can we just, instead of mailing them from Cuba City and let it happen, can we just take the Dickeyville stack, take it right to the post office and say, with the
I asked
postage on
our
it?
printer to, if I could come do that, and he said it's illegal, they can't
Oh.
do that. He's like, he said, we are paid to get this to the post office because that's the address. We can't allow you to even take it to the post office. So the printer, it's like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do that. You can't come pick them up because they're not for you. You're paying for them, but these are supposed to go to.
What if we're not paying him to stamp them? What if we would just buy cards with those names on them?
What if
Have them
we-
print them, everything but the postage. And then we pick them up and stamp them and take them ourselves.
Oh, okay.
We're
Well,
just buying a postcard otherwise.
But I think the problem still is we're missing some names and addresses with county roads. That's where it seemed to be problem. I think Dickeyville, people that lived in Dickeyville, that had PO boxes, they all got them. It's a few roads out here and there, and they have a map of our district, and they're trying to get everybody in there and every road, but
Angie would know the ones in Dickeyville that complained about not getting a card at our last meeting. Or would they be PO box people, or would they be rural?
Lenny and Donna would have been PO box, so I don't know, I really don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how some of the people who've been residents for years, years and years, would not be getting those mailings. It's confusing, it was confusing to me when they said they didn't receive them, so I don't know. And maybe I can reach out to them and ask if they've missed other mailings in the past, because there's been other ones that have gone around, or if it was just this one.
I do think the list has gotten a little bit better each time, but
well, anytime anybody
Yeah.
reaches out and says, I didn't get it, they're added to
Yeah.
the list. But if people aren't, or
Back to Angie's question about like, how can we get the information out to people other than the website? We could take like our frequently asked questions document and we could break that down and we could potentially post those questions on social media if we wanted to.
I think that'd be
That's an option.
or a QR code that takes you to the information that they can just scan somewhere and it's there. I mean,
We did that last time.
We did do that last time.
did it work?
we didn't get a lot of traction.
That's good.
Really, when we look at views, there wasn't a lot of traffic on everything that we put out there.
Brainstorm and just try
Yeah.
and think of
Great.
ways that we can just generate this more.
Are we planning to send out email to all parents within the district, right? And we're doing a staff meeting
This Friday.
this Friday.
What is the percentage of total voters, or I should say, school families compared to total voters?
Well, 2022, during that referendum, we had a little over 2,200 voters. Last April, we had 1,100 voters, so about half, which is normal for an April election. I
Are you
believe,
able to tell who of the people who voted were school families, or you probably don't have that breakdown?
I do know that when I send emails out, like to all families and things, it goes to almost 800 email addresses. But that, sometimes
that's duplicated.
there's
also.
duplicates, and some people don't have email addresses. And
So these events are fine, I think, for the school families, because that's who we're hitting the most, but I think our population that we have to trigger is the opposite. So I agree with Angie, we have to get out there, and from what I have heard from people, they've asked why we're not doing more open forums, not like
Posting. a-
one-on-one,
Mhm.
just a true, we sit there, we answer questions and go out. Because I know sometimes I don't think of a question when I'm talking to someone, but then it might prompt another question. And I truly feel if that's what the people want, we have to do what the people want. So I would say an open forum, relaying the same information, but just inviting them.
So, in April, when we gave those, we basically gave the short presentation, then just said, any questions you have, what do you have? In one session, I believe it was one in Dickeyville, we probably had questions for 30 minutes at that one.
Oh, very.
Maybe, and then.
But I feel like those are probably more beneficial than even sending something in the mail, I'll be honest, because I'll get some, with all of the junk mail I get
We're getting
right
so
now,
many right now.
I don't even
Right.
look through them. I'll be honest, I toss them away. So I really truly feel we're in a budget constraint. We don't need to be spending money that isn't working. So how do we get that message out? I think we invite people. We have an event that brings people in, or we do something because it's free. It's getting the information out to the people in a format that they want it.
The problem is just getting them to come, or at least that's been the challenge. So when you set an event, what do you think?
I don't know. That's what we have
I
to
mean, Chuck
brainstorm,
have
you
to
know,
cook
like
burgers,
he
which is
might
gonna-
have to cook some
Yeah,
burgers.
well,
I don't know. But I just kind of feel like you have to have that presence. We have to be the welcome group. We have to be willing to answer those questions because I feel like some people don't know who to ask the questions to as well.
I think a lot's changed from April till now. I mean, as you get closer and closer to this election, I think people are more and more, becoming more and more invested, more and more involved. They want more of the information. So I agree 100%. I mean, there's got to be something that fits. I don't know.
I think you
And that was
also,
clear in April when we had the meeting in the gym.
Yeah, 100%.
Where
yes.
all these people came and like, well, why are you having to make all these cuts? Because we didn't get enough yes votes. That's why.
Mhm.
So I think that maybe started to change some people's.
it's also going to make a huge difference because the November election obviously is going to be a huge one.
Yeah. They
And
have a lot of voters.
yes, so,
November elections always have a bigger turnout than.
well, this one's going to be,
So I go back to you, and if you find something, and if the agreement is to try to do an event or offer it, we have done our due diligence, we're offering it, we're putting things out there. Whether or not the people come, that will be ultimately up to them, but at least the board and everybody can walk away with, we've done everything, we've tried, we've offered these out, we've offered informal, we've offered formal, we've done mailers, we've done email, I mean, we have done what we as a board can do with our due diligence to make this
And I
happen.
think we felt like we could do that last April, but it didn't. We still had people saying, I don't know. So we're just trying to get better. You know, what can we do?
Mhm.
But I don't think this time we're going to pay for the mailers. I don't think we're going to pay for the videos and the radio commercials. But obviously, Tri-County Press will do stories on that. Telegraph Herald will likely do something on that. And then these events. So
Are you thinking a meeting in the gym?
I would like to see
Light
open
one,
forums
call.
in Cuba City and Dickeyville again.
Great.
Okay.
But I also feel like I don't necessarily want the time limit per person either. Like, I don't know how the open forums truly run. Is there a time limit per question or any, it's just general information? Because I think that is often,
we didn't have that
So
many last year.
okay.
The open forum would run differently than the public meeting that did in April where people got up
Sure.
and spoke at the mic. At the open forum, we gave a small presentation, 15, 20 minutes, and then it truly was open questions, no time limits,
Perfect.
and much more of a conversation.
So actually, some of those meetings that you're looking at, those locations, we should do those later. I mean, we could do a couple of different ones. I mean, I'm just mentioning back to some that I've been a part of, and it has been like a PowerPoint presentation, went over the highlights, and then it was just like, who has questions? I mean, just,
So Dickeyville, because we've done those several times,
Mhm.
we'll do one here. Are there any other locations that you think would be a good target or a good ask?
Well, I don't know, again, the political, arena. I know the Fireman's Breakfast here in Cuba City. I know we had asked the firemen in Dickeyville, I think last time, and they didn't want us to come, feeling it was too political. So I don't know if they would, I know their fireman's breakfast is like October 16th or something like that. I mean, whether it was even just a table we could set up.
If we want to hit the like Keeler, the Jamestown voters, there's the Keeler Firemen's Parade. I don't know the date.
It's
Like
usually
first
beginning.
Sunday.
Yeah, first Sunday.
yep.
She's thinking just a table at the fire station, just to answer.
I don't know if they have something at the fire station after the parade, or do they go up in the school grounds? I guess I'm not sure.
I think it's at the fire
I think it's
station.
at the fire station.
Is it? Okay.
That's the fire station.
And I have one last question for this too. So is it possible, through your phone, can you send out like a reminder to our community members? Or, I mean, do we have phone numbers that can be like, hey, we have this open forum meeting this evening or coming up, and that just kind of goes out to everybody, just as like
We have like parents. of
it's
our
only
current
parent
kids.
square,
Yeah.
kind of like a parent square thing.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's still better than nothing, I guess. I mean, just to remind.
But that can go out in socials.
Right arrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
the
what people
last
get
time
their
we had
information
Dickeyville,
from.
The lady out there was gonna put a note in all of their water bills.
Is that Donna? that said
Donna.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe ask her if she would do that
Like
again.
with a list of the meeting locations?
Yeah,
That's
right.
up in the-
You know, like, we could ask her again.
I think you could do that in Cuba City though too.
Yeah, they could do it in Cuba also.
So that what comes out the first the month
I
in
don't
Cuba.
get
It's the
one.
first day of the month. Yeah.
Do we put all the dates and locations on Facebook?
Mhm.
We have in the past.
And there was no cost to it. She didn't want any paperwork, So I mean, I'm sure she'd do it again. Somebody wants to contact her, I don't care.
I can do that.
Another
just-
option, I don't know if they'd be open to it, but I would be willing to, if it's a smaller table setup or just kind of I would go sit at Brickell Memorial and the Cuba City Library if people are more into one-on-one conversations, or like I have young kids and I can't get to an open forum, but I have 15 minutes at the library. I'd be willing to do a few of those. I don't know if they'd be open to it, but we can always ask. And maybe that's where it's, okay, I have a printout with the FAQs. I don't have the 6-foot banner with me.
What about doesn't the PTO have an event at the end of October as well with the
Trunk or treat.
Yep.
Yep. And we do have that on our schedule right now.
I'm signed up to have a trunk. I'll double duty it.
Sunday, October 20th.
Yes.
And
From 11
I'm
to
on the
1.
Friends of Library Committee in Dickeyville too. I can talk with them. We have that. And I also know the second Sunday coming up is bingo, which gets a huge crowd in Dickeyville.
Yeah.
I think it's the second Sunday in October. I gotta go back and look, but that's a huge
Even if it was a matter of like, may sound cheesy, but having a button made that says I'm a school board member, because I don't know if not everybody in Dickeyville recognizes me. But if they saw that, maybe if they saw me at a community event, they'd be willing to ask a question, even if we're not sitting at a table. Just being present.
Because you're right, when I went to that thing in Dickeyville, Angie, I didn't know how many people, again, as Megan said, we'd even know if I was one.
Exactly. Mhm.
I don't know if I can get my 2 cents worth, but would it be worth it to walk in the parade, as Angie said, and have a table at the end? Have little postcards and hand out to the adults that are standing there, and
How about let the kids walk in it,
the kids do, yeah.
With
I guess
the
some of them do.
post, whatever, say, please support our
Mhm.
schools.
Are you talking home?
Can you do that?
We
now?
can't do that.
Can't do that.
No. It's during the school day.
But the school board members could, couldn't they?
They can. Yeah.
And it would just be informational. It's not,
If they're walking as a school board,
Then we have to post
then it
it.
have to be informational, because you're acting as a school board member, so they could not be persuasive at that time. Individually, they can all be as persuasive as they want to, but as a group, they can't.
there's something to get some information out there and have a table at the end.
we could have informational things for you guys to hand out to the adults, ready for you by Friday for sure. If that's something that some of you are able to and want to do.
Because then it might be worth having a table at the football game that night too.
And maybe
that
just walk
information.
alongside the band and just give it.
Yeah.
Just
So it's the 27th.
Yeah,
is
next Friday.
Well, and if you're gonna have a table or something at a volleyball game and or a football game, if you had a few things, somebody could go through the stands and say, hey, there's a table over there, like, go ask questions.
I think the
or
table would be
information.
before you enter the gym. So like you have to walk past it.
Sure, but like at the football game, like,
Oh, yeah.
if it's off to the
Yeah,
side,
it's a little tougher to navigate everybody.
Could have
just
Mr.
to
Hazen
encourage
make an
people, like, it's
announcement.
there, but like, if you mention it and kind of,
For the Booster Club, we give out a little postcard with every purchase of a hamburger.
I just think one key piece that we're missing, and I'm just kind of thinking back to some past referendums that have passed, to have been, we need, I think, more of our parents to be vocal out there. And we need to see more of that, like them and our kids being more vocal. I know we can't do it during school, we can't do it, but somehow we have to get the message out that in order for, this isn't just the school board, this is everybody, it's a collective effort to pass this. And so I haven't seen much, and I don't think it's a whole lot, like with even parents or anybody really pushing or getting out there. And I just think in the past that I've seen that more often where parents would get on Facebook, and granted it was for different reasons maybe, but this is really the livelihood of a lot of things with our district, and it's going to impact, we're not looking at a building referendum, we're looking at operational, we're looking at teachers, we're looking at student needs, and I don't think we're really hearing a lot from our parents on there, you know what I mean? I don't know how to get them to do more to help us.
One, it could just be I know we talked about tabling at the PTO event, but reaching out to the PTO and say, are there other ideas you have that we could be doing for outreach?
Or
What are
could
the
we
type
go
of
to
things
one
you
of
look
their
for?
meetings and share the information with the PTO board members, and then they could share the information? I think they have
Their
They just have
listserv,
different
yeah.
relationships.
I think they
yeah.
have a Facebook page and
They do.
Yeah, I don't want to nominate anybody, but I'm staring at Whitney. What do you think?
Yeah. They would probably love to have you guys come and talk to them, because I know as a PTO member, we are getting plenty of requests from teachers. And obviously we want to support that as much as we can, but we are also on the budget as well. And we need to make sure that we're replenishing that as we're trying to support too, so. I
Alright.
can let Erin know when our next meeting is, and then I can let the PTO know that you guys are interested in attending.
Thank
So
you.
what we'll do is we'll start filling this in on like where we're gonna be, we'll contact these groups and see if they're willing to have us either come and present or at least have a presence. And hopefully by next Friday, so would that be the 27th? I'm hoping to have a better look at what this is, and also for you guys that want to say, hey, I'm gonna be at this one, so I'll be here. If you're available and you're going, then you can sign up for that as well.
I think it would be beneficial if we could, once you have those dates set, if you could talk to the guy who gave us the presentation the one night, to have him present, to
I
get
am-
that information,
I
because
am gonna
sometimes
ask
it's,
him to come to our October meeting.
Okay.
So Jamie Nether is coming and giving a presentation. He told us last week, 29 out of the 31 schools either went to a referendum last year, are going this year, or are planning one for next year when their current referendum is done. So 29 of the 31 schools in CISA.
I just, not that people don't believe you, but I feel like sometimes it's a trusted, when they
Right.
hear it from someone else.
So we're gonna ask Jordan to do a Zoom and do
Yep.
kind of that same thing. Jamie's gonna be here in person. And we're gonna ask Allison from Buchanan, from Quarles and Brady, who's our legal rep on the referendum. Just because the answer to, well, why don't you just use that money from the referendum, not build something and use that for operational? Even though we've told people that's illegal, Allison is the one who told us, or our legal counsel, you can't do that, that would be illegal. And I think they want to hear that from a lawyer instead of me.
Well, would it be possible for them, if that's at the next board meeting, that we have an open forum after the next board meeting because you'd have I mean, you're gonna get people here to a meeting and B, they're here for the presentation, then they might have more questions.
Sure.
I just feel like it's
If the rest of the
it's a
board-
one and done type thing, and, you know, it's just another opportunity. If you're already bringing the people in, let's vocalize that. Hey, we got people talking about it. Come in, won't be part of the meeting, but we'll close our meeting and then go to open forum so you guys can ask those questions.
I don't know if we'd be able to have those people there.
They,
for that-
maybe
for
they
that
won't
part
be,
of
but at
that.
least they could come to the meeting and listen to the message.
Gotta give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
Hopefully they show up, but you at least gotta put it out there. Here's the possibility. Here's what we can do, you know, please come. Any information you would like to have, we would definitely try to respond to in a positive manner. Try to explain this mess.
The last time he spoke, there was no way to have that recorded. Is there any way we can do it in a different format to have it recorded and have that
Available for Dick
Available.
or wherever.
and put it on the,
If it's okay with him.
We probably could have him
Think that
record
was
something prior to the October board meeting if we want. And as long as he's willing to do it, we could probably
I just-
say.
Right.
can
I
you
just
do-
think whatever he said that night, it all
And it was
kind of
short
hit
and
home.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very easy to understand.
If we pull him up in the panel, there's a screen recorder on it. I can do it right there.
Right there, okay. Are you gonna be here in October?
I guess I'll have to be.
Okay.
Do I get to decide on the time and that night when you do that next?
So then once you have that, you can put it to our Facebook page.
Yep, as long as it's okay with him.
I'll ask him when I send that.
Any other comments, suggestions? Thank you, everyone. That sounds like a new, better approach, I hope. Alrighty, public recognition, is there any other? Administrative reports? Jason?
All right. For September 18th here, thank you to Ms. Jessie Denar for her efforts to keep families informed through our weekly newsletter, the Cuban Communicator. Families receive that important updates and reminder notifications to their emails each week. We do encourage families to check their spam folders and update registration through Power School if they haven't been receiving those school correspondence messages. Similar as we've discussed, we want to make sure that that information is getting to everybody. Cuban Care has begun with attendance of about 20 students on Friday afternoons following our early dismissals. We really want to thank our staff members who support that valuable program. Families can sign up for Cuban Care on the parent dashboard, which is linked in the school website and in each of those weekly Cuban Communicators. Also, Homework Club has begun and occurs every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for students in 3rd through 5th grades. Hours for Homework Club are 3:30 to 4:45. And we want to thank those staff members for the guidance they provide students during that time. Cuba City Elementary students and staff have engaged in multiple safety procedure drills since the beginning of the school year. Teachers provide daily guidance to students in the classroom practicing safe procedures in order to be prepared for emergency or unexpected events. I want to thank the Cuba City Police Department for their continued efforts to be visible and supportive in our building. We appreciate our local officers' involvement to build a positive rapport with our students on and off of school grounds. The 2024 Spring Wisconsin Forward test results have arrived. Families of elementary school students will receive individual results during parent-teacher conferences, which occur on October 2nd and 4th. And the Cuba City Elementary School Book Fair begins Monday, September 23rd, continues through Friday, the 27th. Students and families will have many opportunities to add to their literature collections, and we want to thank Ms. Sharon Olson for organizing and providing that opportunity.
Thank you, Jason. Chris, the middle and high school report.
Sure. First quarter is officially half over, so for those of you math people, that's 1/8 of our school year done. It's been a great beginning to the school year. We had a successful run through of all of our safety drills. Our sports teams are having a great start to their respective seasons. Middle school sports are now all in full swing as well, with students competing in football, cross country, and volleyball. High school has begun planning our homecoming festivities. Seventh graders had a wonderful time learning about outdoor education at Canyon Camp. I want to thank the middle school teachers, both those that attended camp and those who kept things moving back here with our 6th and 8th graders. Thank you to Miss Emily Bodie, Mr. Dylan Redfern, Mr. Cody Clayton, and Miss Tina Burkett for arranging their schedule so that they could attend camp. And a special thank you to Miss Williams for planning the trip and organizing the fundraising that made it possible. Our combined high school and middle school band marched in the Labor Day Parade at Benton. High school band has been busy rehearsing their music and marching for the homecoming field show. It is sure to be a thriller for all that see it. It will feature songs by Michael Jackson. Miss Van Scandal's students have been busy. Dairy judging team took 4th place at the River Ridge Meet. Wildlife class would like to thank Matt Andrews for allowing them to visit his place to go fishing for the 2nd year. They said that they didn't catch as much as last year, but as the saying goes, a bad day of fishing. Let you finish that. Miss Van Scandal reported that we had several students, elementary, middle, and high school, that all showed at the Belmont Fair. Mr. Simon shared that the business education classes have been fortunate to have several guest speakers in the past couple of weeks. And also new this year is that the financial management and accounting classes are being offered as transcripted through Southwest Technical College so that students can earn both high school and college credit for these classes. Ms. Merwin and the FCCLA students will be electing officers this week. Foods for Life class hosted a grilled cheese sandwich competition today, which I was fortunate enough to be a judge for. Competition was tough and the sandwiches were delicious. Congratulations to our girls basketball team as they were the recipients of the WIAA State Tournament Sportsmanship Award. The team was recognized last Friday during the halftime of the football game. Todd Clark of the WIAA was here to present the award. This award is presented to the team, but it is an award that is representative of the team, the student body, the coaches, our school, and our community. So thank you to everyone on helping our team earn this accolade.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm curious on to which was your favorite grilled cheese.
Okay, so
Really putting you on the spot.
Sorry.
it was very tough. There was one team that had Hawaiian bun, or the Hawaiian, they had bacon on it. I am not a fan of bacon, so that was the deal breaker for me. So I ended up having to go with some pepper jack cheese.
You would have volunteered to be a judge if you'd done that.
That was always one of my favorite days.
It was good. The bacon was good.
Whitney, special ed, please.
Yes, last Friday, September 13th, from 8:15 to 9 o'clock, the Cuba City Early Childhood hosted a play date for 3-year-old children. This visit was open to children who lived in the Cuba City School District and have recently turned 3 years old or will turn 3 years old soon. These visits occur 3 times a year, typically in the fall, winter, and spring. And it gives staff the opportunity to conduct a basic screening of developmental milestones to ensure that the district is meeting the needs of all area children. So they will plan another one for the winter and then another one for the spring of this year. The early childhood team is completing the Indicator 7 reports. These are due on October 1st. These reports look at the percentage of preschool children with IEPs, so ages 3 to 5, who improve in 3 outcome areas. Those areas are positive social emotional skills, if they can gain and use the knowledge and skills, and then also to use acceptable behaviors to meet their needs. And then the information that I want to share with the district and the community and the board is the process of a special education referral. A parent, guardian, teacher, school district admin, physician, and or social worker may request for an evaluation for special education services at any time. A request for evaluation is known as a referral. The referral should be in writing. The district does have a specific form that we send out that people that are making a referral can fill out. It includes the reason for the referral. When a district receives the referral, the district will appoint an individualized education program or an IEP team to determine if the child has a disability and if the child needs special education services. If the child meets criteria, the IEP team will work with the family to develop an IEP. The IEP documents how the student will receive a free and appropriate public education.
Thank you. Any questions of Whitney? Heather, business report, please.
This is the time of the year where I submit a lot of reports to DPI, so I'm working through that list. Recently, I've submitted the 23-24 aid certification report, and that report determines our aid for this current school year. I've also submitted our 24 summer school transportation and pupil reports to DPI. Again, these reports affect our funding for the current school year. And with our summer school report, I'm happy to let you guys know that our FTE count was at 21. That's the highest that we've had. And so I just want to thank our summer school coordinators, Jesse Dinar and Jessica Luker, for ensuring that summer school ran smoothly. I also want to thank our district staff who worked summer school to make certain our students had an educational and fun experience. An update on Fund 49. In the month of August, we had revenue totaling $13,853.13. Our expenses were $20,823.25, and our balance at the end of the month was $8,727.83. Other things that I'm working on, I'm continuing to fine tune the 24-25 budget. I'm also working on lots of operating referendum documents. Aaron and I have been working on a lot of that together. And then I have mailed out all the required documents to the municipal clerks for the November election.
Question. When you say fine tuning the current budget, can you give me an example of what that is?
Yep. So I have entered everything in, and then I print off a very long report, and then I go through it, and I print off the last 5 years, and I look to see what did I budget for the current school year and what has our activity been so far. And I make sure, number one, that I don't miss budgeting for an expense that has happened before, as you can imagine. So there's now a new process to make sure that I don't miss anything. So I go through that, and then after I go through it, I give it to Mr. Olson, and then he goes through the same process that I do. And then we make changes as we feel we need to, and as we're slowly getting some firmer numbers from the state as far as our revenue is looking. So then I'm taking those numbers and updating our budget or putting those numbers into our revenue limit worksheet, which is a document that is shared at our annual meeting. So I work between our budget software, our revenue limit worksheet, and our Baird budget model, and just making sure that all of those agree and I'm getting the same mill rate on all of those documents. And if it's not the same mill rate, why? So it's a process.
Thank you. Any other questions? Aaron, superintendent report, please.
Yes, we received a grant from the Wisconsin Department of Justice to complete high-quality digital maps for each of our schools to assist in any emergency personnel. This grant is 100% covered through Wisconsin Act 109. We've started to work on that. We're also looking into a grant from DPI to cover the cost for an EL teacher. That's an English learner teacher. This is the first year that we've had enough students that we would qualify for this grant. So we're looking into the application process along with the viability of the grant to see how many years that is and what that covers. Let's see, sometime in the next month, we'll receive our state report card. That will be embargoed usually until the second or third week in November. And DPI is actually encouraging everybody to not look at this report card and compare it to the earlier ones due to changes. Dan, you'll appreciate this one. Because Dan has told me for the last 4 years, I do not like that the state uses this cut score that says unless you're in the 68th or 67th percentile, you're not considered proficient in reading and math, because that's what the cut score was. You had to be and it was, maybe the range was 64 to 68, but about 2/3 of our kids were not. So this summer, they pulled in a bunch of teachers in the state of Wisconsin and said, let's determine what reading looks like to be proficient. And that cut score now is closer to 48 and 49. So it's, instead of a third, it's half. So therefore you can see what that does to the report card, is that we can't look at that at all and do any comparison. So our principals are looking at, we can look at the raw score and so we can do individual data, they can work on that. But as far as the report card, we can't look at it because you're going to look at it and say, wow, we had huge growth
Right.
in our proficiency in reading and math at every grade level. That's awesome. Well, when the cut score goes from 68 down to 48, there's going to be a big difference. So just wanted to keep that in mind, and I knew that Dan, you would like that. So last week I attended a meeting for CISA 3 schools that are going to referendum, and according to Jamie Nutter, 29 of the 31 schools in CISA either went to referendum last year or going this year, or are already planning one coming up. The takeaway from this meeting is that we're all in the same boat. We had a 3-year plan to a very high, or we had a 3-year span, a very high inflation with no increase in state funding, and now it's minimal state funding. But the state has made it clear they're going to provide bare minimum in state aid, even with historic levels of budgetary surplus. So that's really the math problem. They've withheld state funding, and inflation has gone out of control. And in 2022, when we went to referendum, we used projections over the last 5 years. Inflation's been around 2%. So we said, okay, we can do this. And when we budget out 5 years, and if the state gives us about $200 a kid for 5 years and inflation's around 2%, we can handle this 5 years out from our budget. Then when inflation goes up to almost 5 and then 8 and then 4, that throws all of our plans and all of our strategic plan that we looked out and budgeted for and said we can afford to do this, now are not able to be done, and we need our community's support.
And of those 29, how many are operational, how many are facility-based referendums? Do you have any idea?
He didn't break that down.
Yeah. That's a little bit different if you're going for a facility versus
Correct.
operational, right?
Yep.
I mean, need-based.
I have some data on the entire state of Wisconsin, so I do have a document. It's worked straight from DPI.
Okay.
And so I can share that with all the board members tonight or tomorrow.
The total was like 136.
I think it was like closer to like 140, like 140. And then on
That's all
this,
referendum, but not
yep,
just
but on that, so you have view only, but if you make a copy of it, which I'll share the copy I made, you can then filter it. So then you can say, okay, how many are operational versus, they're doing a capital project. Okay, now I want to filter just the operational referendums down, and I just want to see who in CISA 3 are going to referendum. And that's just for November.
And then this afternoon, I had a meeting with FEMA, and we continue to work through the RFI, which they go through every aspect of that. And the good news is we have another meeting on Tuesday, next Tuesday coming up. We had sent the RFI about 2 weeks ago. It's very detailed. There are 17 attachments in this with a 40-page summary. So it took a while to get through that. But they said they need 2 or 3 days to go through all with a fine-tooth comb. Tuesday is our next meeting. They're hoping that they're able to tell us that we can go ahead with the pre-award and we can allow Bray to start doing the drawings, which would be a big deal. We have to weigh that though. So if they allow us to do that pre-award drawing, and maybe that's $120,000, what is the chance that we don't get the grant versus that we do? They did tell us today that no school has ever gotten this far and not gotten the grant. That's not a concern of theirs. but they're not the ones who are gonna have to pay for it if something weird happens. So we're trying to get closer to that. This is the last stage. If you make it this, there's never been a school that has gotten this far that hasn't gotten it. I don't want to be the first. So, that's kind of what we're working for. We have asked them that if we could have something in October that says this is kind of where we are, just so we can share with our community from FEMA. This is an update from them, not from us. And they're looking at what we can say without getting in trouble from their supervisors by doing that. So hopefully next Tuesday we get some good news. And knowing this is the last step, hopefully we're able to get final award sooner than later, because once we get final award, we go to drawing, that's 2 months. Takes a month to get the bids drawn. Then we have to send it out and wait for bids to come back for a month. Then we have to get on their schedule. They'll only bid if they can get the product in time and be on their schedule. But we want to be sure that we're able to break ground when the ground thaws. So
best, and you may not be able to give us the best case scenario. When do you think that we will break ground?
Brad is hoping that we're able to break ground as soon as it thaws. So some years that's March, and some years that's May. That's best case scenario. That's what we'll be able to do.
So just to clarify, Tuesday's meeting, do you expect, if everything goes as planned, that is the meeting that they will say this is like official pre-award? It will be sometime after that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they've got to go through that. They did not say that like Tuesday that it'll likely be done, but they're like, by Tuesday we should know enough about this to say, yeah, go ahead with that or don't. And
I guess I was thinking that, and maybe it was just the fact I didn't know, I thought that we were going to get the award, then there was going to be the architectural plans, and then the other processes would follow, because then that would, in my simple mind, it would have made sense, because then you're not having architects waste their time and or our money to do something that may not be approved.
that's what we've got to consider, correct? So if we get to that point, we'll likely have a core planning meeting, but Jordan's encouraging us. He's like, nobody's ever gotten this far and not gotten this, but we have to push them on, hey, is there a chance that we wouldn't get this with the November election? Would that matter? And if there's a chance that we wouldn't, then we can't afford that 120 to get ahead of the timeline. Okay.
And even if you would, I mean, even if it would be to the point where you could start some of that planning, it's still gonna be very close to even good by March. I mean, we're already nearing October. I mean, to be able to have all the plans returned and everything finalized and the bids out. So, okay.
We're hoping we're a lot closer to final award than we were, a month or two ago. And their commitment to, I think they want to get this off their desk too, because they're scheduling meetings now. Like, I was surprised when they said our next meeting's going to be Tuesday, because that's like within a week.
Do you
So
know how many schools are in the same situation as we are right now, sitting through this, like?
I think there were 5 schools that were given a FEMA, selected for a FEMA grant. Jordan our grant writer, works with 3 of the 5.
Okay.
That includes Potosi.
Cuba City, Potosi, and I think he works with,
Aaron, I got one question. They said you could draw the steel structure.
what's that?
They said you maybe go ahead and draw the steel structure for the safe box. Is it under their specifications?
Everything's under FEMA. Yeah, so like the drawings that we had for our gym were from
Right.
Bray and Epic. Now Bray and Epic have to look at all the FEMA
Specs.
requirements, and they have to basically
Adjustments.
redo all of it based on their FEMA requirements. Yep,
All right, thank you.
that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
I do have a question.
Yep.
Beck, you made a comment about applying for a grant for the EL teacher.
Yep.
What is that number that qualifies us to apply for that grant now?
I think we had to have 20 students that qualified as EL in grades K through 5.
Okay, so we've had close to 20, I'm assuming. What are we doing now for those students, though, to make sure that they're getting the services? Because I know no one was rehired after Amy Spielvogel left. So what services are being provided to those students to make sure that they're getting what they need right now if we don't have an EL teacher?
Yeah, so really what we're trying to do is educate the teachers on things that they can do based on best practices. And we work with Laura Wolfing on some of those things, and we've kind of looked to see what other schools are doing for those. Talked with Darlington superintendent on what they do. We've gotten some translators that get us started if there's no language. We're starting with those so we can do basic communications. And then we provided our teachers just kind of some vocabulary lists per grade level and best ways to teach students who are learning that English language. I know Whitney and Chris are doing some access testing to see exactly where they are. And that's kind of what we're working on right now. As we came up with a teacher guide and shared that. I can share that with you on the Friday message.
I just want to make sure that we're servicing all students to the best of our abilities to make sure that they're getting the best education that they can. And I'm just concerned that we've gone now 3 years now without an Amy Spielvogel in the building, and who's that communicator and who's making sure we're getting that population, because every student is equally as important as another student. How are we making that population feel that way?
Well, I want to add to that just one piece, then how are we doing it in a way that we're not adding a lot more additional to our teachers, trying to manage and do that as well, so that's something.
And even having an EL teachers, just so you guys know, it's still a lot of work for teachers.
No,
It's
absolutely.
going to be, because the EL
Yes.
teacher can't be in all 10 classrooms
Put a
K-5.
support, they're going to be at
Correct.
least a
Correct.
solid support, you know.
Because I'm sure we can't depend on Laura Wilberding to be around forever to helping us out either, because I know she's been trying to work her way out as well. So I just want to make sure that if we don't get the grant, what steps are being put into place to make sure that we are making
The other
sure
thing that
those
we have
students are
done in our
serviced.
interview process is if you speak Spanish, that's a really big plus mark, when we're hiring.
And I know like Carly Redfern is helping support some of those EL learners down at the elementary.
Thank you. New business, approve the date and time for the October board meeting, which is October 16th at 6:30. Is there any change to that? Would we hold that in here because of the having
Yes.
to use? Okay.
Yep.
All right,
And we've got people scheduled to come at that time too.
all right. Then we will move to B, approve the Neola policy update, volume 33, number 2.
Yep, these were reviewed and approved by our policy committee unanimously. All these policies were from Neola. There were no local policies this time, so I recommend that we go to the policy committee's recommendation to approve all of these in Neola policy update, volume 33, number 2.
Board, is there any questions regarding those policies? Would someone move?
I'll move to approve Neola policy update, volume 33, number 2 as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. Joel,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
On to personnel. A is approve the hiring of Miss Sophia Sander as the middle school 7th grade girls basketball coach.
Yep. Cuba City High School graduate and Cuba City High School basketball player, and we're glad that she's willing to take this position over.
Would someone move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Miss Sophia Sander as CCMS 7th grade girls basketball coach as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Joel,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
B is approve the hiring of Mr. Jacob Glennon as the middle school 7th grade boys basketball coach.
Yep, Jacob is our activities director at the middle school, and we had an opening, and he applied for that, and I'm happy that he's going to do that.
Would someone move?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Mr. Jacob Lennon as the CCMS 7th grade boys basketball coach as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Joel,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
C is approve the hiring of Mr. Dylan Redfern as the middle school assistant track and field coach.
Yep, this is a recommendation from Coach Matthews, Mr. Glennon, and Mr. Sanders, so I recommend that we approve this.
Is there a motion to that?
I'll move to approve the hiring of Mr. Dylan Redfern as CCMS assistant track and field coach as presented.
you got that second then, Megan?
Second.
Or-
Yeah.
Maybe hear who it was.
Okay, appropriate.
Joel,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes, Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
D is approved volunteer coach, Mr. Jason Tuttle, for the middle school football.
Yep, he's been volunteering for about the past month. It was right after our last meeting. And whenever, and this happens from time to time, so when this happens, we usually run a background check and make sure he's okay to work with the kids, and then we just bring it to you guys at the next meeting. So once in a while, you'll have these, that they've been working with the kids for a while, but you guys get that afterwards.
Would someone move?
I'll move to approve volunteer coach Mr. Jason Tuttle for CCMS football as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. Joel,
Yes.
Barth,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes, Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
We're on to committee reports. First one is budget and finance. Is there any,
We'll meet in October, once, probably after October 15th, when the final allocations are done, but before the annual meeting.
building and grounds, Chuck, anything?
No, we haven't met since we walked through the area for the trees.
Okay. Personnel, looks like we will meet in November after the election. Policy, we just handled the mail updates tonight. Tech and transportation, is there any?
Yeah, we're gonna do that in November. We'll have
Okay.
a committee meeting, we'll go to the garage shop again. There's some things they wanted to show us, just so you guys have the ability to see that and then ask any questions that you wanted to ask.
Okay, and thank you for going over there and meeting with them, Aaron. Foundation, looks like nothing till January, February. And CISA, I sent an email to all, or shared with all of you regarding what Jamie Nutter's, we usually get 2 or 3 of those a month. So just to give you a flavor of what's going on up there, which always seems like a lot, right? Is there anything else?
I got one thing. The person that donated the poles for the lights, was that an agreement for how long to have the banners so he has some advertisement out of that? I noticed they're not up this fall.
I do not know.
I think it was a 5-year agreement with him.
I'm not aware of any agreement with him.
I mean, you know, it wouldn't hurt, you know, because that was a big expense that we didn't have to do.
Did somebody say something to you, Chuck, or you're just wondering?
Yeah, I had some anonymous person say it. I was just gonna bring it up. I don't know.
I don't know if we had an official agreement, but I think we just let Cameron know that that's something that.
Yeah, probably wouldn't hurt to put them up because that was a lot of money that he donated.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
all right, thank you.
I had one question. I think I know the answer, but I'm just being new to the board. Can we, like, as a board member, just come through and walk through the school and just pop in classrooms and say hi if we wanted to? Is that completely an option? I mean, I'm guessing the answer is yes.
We have a policy about that.
You can't do
So
it?
I can send it to you.
Okay.
Do you have your sub license?
I do.
We'll send you an invite.
You are now invited.
That would be great. I just think it would be nice to be able to do
The
that.
policy
So.
would serve as a refresher for all of us.
I'm just writing that, things to send to everybody.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, would someone move to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second?
I will second. All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There, Jesse. Jessica.